Jesse Hidalgo here with Hearing Group. Joining us today is Irma Cohens from our West Wichita Hearing Group office. Welcome, Irma.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today we're going to be taking some questions from the audience in regards to maybe some topics that they have in mind. Mm-hmm. That sound great?
Absolutely, let's go for it.
All right, so the very first question that we have is, what are the pros and cons with buying hearing aids online? So that's a big subject in it.
It is.
Yeah, and so when I think about that subject, I often think about some of the recent laws that are passing, right? And so 2017, there was a law for over-the-counter hearing instruments that are out there. And actually, one of the beautiful things about that law is that it's bringing hearing awareness to the general public. Mm-hmm. And so they're trying to make it more affordable for the general public as well. And so I love that. Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
I agree 100%. I think that there's more options for folks that possibly cannot afford much more than just that entry-level pricing. So it definitely does give folks options.
Yeah, and so how many times do we have patients coming in where they maybe walk away because they are feeling like they just can't afford it? I get exactly what the law is intended for, which is to try to make hearing more affordable for everybody. So in that respect, I love it. I love the heightened awareness for the general public, because the vast majority of people that have hearing loss in the United States don't do anything about it.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's maybe some of the pros that we have. Mm-hmm. Some of the cons that I see is that sometimes there's a misperception, kind of like what I alluded to just a little bit earlier, that they think that just because they can buy it online, or if they can buy it someplace where they can just walk in and pick it out, that is the best solution for them, or maybe it's even the pricing aspect. Let's tackle the pricing aspect first. Do you believe that their hearing instruments are any cheaper than what they can buy in a professional hearing instrument clinic?
From my personal experience and comparison, absolutely not. It really is just a fair comparison.
Exactly, right? And so sometimes when you look at those ads, well, some of the things that we see oftentimes, do you think they're actually hearing aids or not? What is your opinion?
Well, that's a good question, because I think that without the knowledge, the average consumer, not knowing the industry, is really not aware. Is it a hearing aid or is it an amplifier? And I think that kind of goes into what I think we really want to educate folks about.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes what we see is that when they are looking at those types of advertisements, they're amplifiers, mm-hmm. right? And so basically it's a device that you put inside your ear. It's one size fits all, so that's kind of different, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is that when you turn it up, everything is either elevated or everything is down. Mm-hmm. It's really not programmed for their loss. What do we say about, or what's our thinking in regards to maybe some companies out there are advertising that they have the first FDA-approved hearing aid that they can sell over the counter? There's
a lot of claims out there that folks are advertising that we have the first FDA-approved hearing aid, but the FDA hasn't even approved a hearing aid yet. So unfortunately, the consumers, sadly, are falling underneath that trap of purchasing it based off of advertisement.
Yeah, so basically they're being deceived.
They are,
right?
Absolutely.
And how sad is that? Yeah. That's one of the reasons why we're making this video, is because we want to educate people, because they really do need to know, right? So affordability is really, in some cases, it's not any less than what you're going to do in a professional hearing instrument clinic. And so in regards to amplifier versus hearing instruments, yeah, there's a clear distinction right at this point what the difference is. We actually do hearing instruments, whereas the majority of what you're going to find out there are going to be amplifiers, right? And so even if that was the case, that you could get a hearing instrument, buying it online presents its own set of issues. What are some of those issues from your perspective?
Well, I think that number one is a consumer will give up simply because the product does not fit to their hearing loss. You can have a severe loss when a consumer purchased something fit for a mild to moderate loss, you have a gaping difference of the help that was actually needed for the patient or for the consumer, and they just give up. They give up, and then they don't seek any help elsewhere, and they just give up on their hearing.
Do you think that being in the business, and you've been in the business for quite some time now, how long have you been in the business?
Going into 18 years now.
18 years, right? And so that's a long, long time.
It is.
And so working with the patients over all these years, do you think that a patient can, is it realistic that a patient can just walk in, buy a hearing instrument, put it in, and then they're good for the rest of their life?
There's no way, shape, or form. There's extensive follow-up care. There's routine visits. There's cleanings. There's changes in loss. There's sound perception. You can go home from your initial visit for a week or two and come back and you have some likes and dislikes of sound. Everybody is different, and that's where I think the brick and mortar is just so valuable and key and has to still be in place, because a computer is not going to fix that for you over the phone. You really have to get that personal touch with a provider. It's
those fine tunings, those adjustments that they need in order for them to hear the very best. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are just a few of the things that we have to take into consideration in regards to buying a hearing instrument online. All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us. We hope this has been a big help for you, and so we look to see you next time.
Bye.